Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Squat Cobbler. I am Mike at Official Pagan on everything, and joining me, as always.
Hi, everybody. This is Kelly at KELLYTHUL on Twitter and Instagram.
Now would
Hey,
be a good time to tell everybody to like and subscribe. I cut you off.
all
Like and subscribe. I got it in.
right, fine.
Hero saved the
I should,
day.
I should have. I hesitated. He who
That's what it
hesitates,
was. Yeah, you left it open.
I regret. Let's start. Let's start over, shall we?
No, I already got it. I already got it.
Okay.
And I even got my social media handle in, so I'm killing
Yeah.
it today.
Rock and roll.
Winning this episode. So anyway, we thought we'd drop in for a quick episode for you guys, which usually means we talk for about 2 hours. But a quick episode because there's been some images of this floating around online, but I guess Capcom made the official announcement of the Retro Station, which is sort of a mini arcade console similar to what Neo Geo did with the Neo Geo Mini. Um, People have been curious as to what this is going to be, and this isn't their first kind of foray into this retro gaming space. Obviously, there are Capcom collections available through Steam and different things like that, as well as on consoles. And there was Street Fighter 2 was released as a cabinet, a stand-up cabinet from Arcade One Up, and they also did a Capcom themed uh, cocktail table cabinet as well, which I believe had 12 Capcom titles on there. Then Capcom put out a very similar in idea to the Atari Fight Stick, a arcade style stick that you plugged into the TV and had pre-built in games. Decent selection of games on it, but form factor wise wasn't the best. It had decent games on it, but it kind of required, if you were going to play it two players, to kind of cuddle up with somebody. And Kelly and I were talking about this. Kelly was pro cuddle play, if I remember correctly.
You're off, but continue.
You were not pro cuddle play?
I was not. I guess I could be pro cuddle play. I think your vision of pro cuddle play is different than mine in terms of who the cuddly is. Maybe perhaps I don't know.
Yeah, it was oddly like it looked cool in the initial photos because it's cut to be the Capcom logo. So it kind of looked neat until you actually see people trying to play it and you realize like how that's just not a great design for actual use. Because you had to kind of lay it across your lap and it's not that wide. So you're laying it across your one leg and the person next to you's other leg and just kind of gently nuzzling each other in order to play, which wasn't great. So it didn't lead to, tons of sales. They weren't really competing with that games or Arcade One Up. So now they're going into that sort of mini arcade game space, which there are a number of companies that do this. The most recent and probably the best known ones though would be the Neo Geo Mini, and then Sega just put out one that is a Japan only release, but you can easily import it to the US, and a lot of people have done that and reviewed it already. The difference though is that now that the specs for this have been released, while the screen is unusually large for this type of thing, like twice the size of the Sega Neo Geo units, which is great, the price is very high and it doesn't have many games on it. And in fact, only has a handful of Mega Man and Street Fighter games.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a huge Mega Man and Street Fighter fan, but I'm out at a over $200 price point for this.
Yeah, the price point's killer on this because you get, is it eight or 10 games?
I think it's 8. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's eight
eight
games.
games split between Mega Man and Street Fighter, and that's it. I'm a little unclear on extensibility, which I don't think there's much to that. I mean, the screen size 8-inch screen, so that's
Right.
kind of cool. So it's kind of a big mini, I guess.
Yeah.
In that
I
respect,
mean, it does. I believe the Neo Geo and the Sega units are 4 inches.
Yeah. So
So it is twice the size of those. And you can plug those, and I assume with this as well, plug it into a TV to play that way. But again, only 8 games. The Neo Geo mini cabinet has, I believe, 30 or 40 games on there. And the Sega unit has less games, but it has actual arcade ports as well as like lesser known titles. These are not deep cut games. This is Mega Man and Street Fighter. They're two biggest franchises, and they're basically mainly console games that are represented.
yeah, then you look at your alternatives like the other mini systems that are out there, or, and I hate to open up a sore spot for you, but the At Games Legend Core, which I'm assuming is still in transit for you.
Yeah,
Um,
still no updates on that, and no response from Met Games.
oh, usually
Yeah,
they're pretty good about responding. You might want to drop them a second note,
I intend to tonight.
but that comes preloaded with 100 games at less than half the price of this.
Right.
And no screen, you got to project it, and no controller, you got to address those. But it just seems like there are so many options out there because you get the Legends Core and put Coin Apps X on it, and you've got all the Mega Man games and Street Fighter games, and several hundred more. And so
Right.
I'm not sure unless you're just like a Capcom fanatic, Mega
That's
Man
that's the
fanatic.
only thing I can imagine is that this is geared towards just Capcom collectors because this isn't even every Mega Man and Street Fighter game. It's just like 4 games from each series.
Yeah, and they did the form factor for it. I mean, I think Capcom's got some cool colors to work with the blue and the
Mm,
yellow and the white. So it's a pretty cool palette to work with, and this particular unit is kind of got a Mega Man vibe to it.
yeah.
So, to the people who are huge fans of that particular series and Capcom in general, might be worthwhile. But gosh, over $200 just
Yeah.
just seems like a tough one. And then going back to their game stick kind of environment, the Atari looks vastly superior, much larger, kind of a challenge there. But even the Gamer Pro, again from At Games,
Right.
you're going to get a larger form factor to begin with. Now I know the Gamer Pro, a lot of folks have been kind of pitching hard about this pedestal that you can purchase as well to kind of basically get your Star Trek bridge command area that you can kind of
Which,
play with.
not to interrupt, but Micro Center has launched one for the Atari Fight Stick now as well.
Yeah, which would be 40 foot.
Yeah. It's rated to hold 300 pounds.
Yes, there's some welding involved to set up
Yeah.
the stand for
It's
it.
steel.
Yeah,
It's scaffolding. You just set it up.
yeah. They went down to Harbor Freight and just said, "Hey, I'll take that 4 foot scaffold. That's a game station." But
They just slap an Atari logo on the side.
there you go. But so yeah, it just seems like Capcom's missing the boat here. It'll be interesting to see how well. And you're saying right now this is a Japan only release.
I believe so, yes.
Is that maybe Mega Man's inordinately popular and they can
Well, I
tap
mean,
into.
listen, I know that Mega Man has a giant fan base, and I will argue with anybody that at least 2 of the Mega Man games are 2 of the greatest games ever made. Guess which ones, everyone? Leave it in the comments.
There you go.
Um, but I love Mega Man. I love Street Fighter. There's no way I'm putting out $200+ on something just for the 8-inch screen.
Now
There's seemingly no native way to add other games as well. I mean, I'm sure within minutes someone will hack it and add games, but that's not added. That's not like a part of the sales pitch
No,
though, like it is with that games.
no, because we basically end up investing in a Raspberry Pi and a couple other things. Say now I can connect it to play on this 8-inch screen. Where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, if you're gonna do all that work, hook it up to something kind of real from there. So it's interesting. So it will be interesting to see how much this takes off. It's gotta. I mean, it has to be based on the fan base. They've gotta be leaning in hard to just saying people, I gotta have everything Mega Man, Street Fighter, and this is the next thing. But yeah, I was shocked when they were